What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, ToyRCota Builds. Thanks for joining me for episode number 2 of the channel. If you joined me for episode number 1, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun to make these videos. I think it's going to help propel my hobby, and I hope it helps inspire and propel your hobby. This week I wanted to talk about one of my more complete builds. This is an Axial Scx10ll with a Proline SR5 body and lots of Night Customs 3D printed goodies for it. And this is probably one of my most favorite trucks to go to whenever I just want to take one outside and do some crawling. It's very capable, it's very reliable, and it's also pretty scale. The Night Customs goodies really help to lift up this Lexan body and give it a lot more detail than what it would normally have. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So let's dive on into this truck and check it out. I'm going to go over a few of the different renditions that this truck's been this week. I have some older videos from what this build used to look like, and I have some running videos as well. This used to be a United States Forest Service build. Now it's a Death Valley Speedway build. And there was also a completely black glossed out finish that it had. So a few different versions for this build. So leave in the comments below, once you've watched the video, which version was your favorite. If you like the United States Forest Service, if you like the gloss blacked out version, or if you like this Death Valley Speedway build. So let's dive on into it. Check it out. So this is the gloss black version of the truck. Doing some crawling at Ohio State Park in Pennsylvania. It's known for the Youghiogheny River, which flows through it. It has a lot of these nice rock outcroppings that make awesome places to do some crawling. A lot of these spots have lots of pooling of the water and puddles, and makes for a lot of wet rocks. But it's pretty interesting terrain and great for a truck like this. You can see even with those wet rocks, these Mickey Thompsons are doing their job. And here we're at my scale course that I'm working on, Hilltop Hollow. And just got some creek rocks and trees from Lowe's. You get the little pine trees from Lowe's when they're on sale late in fall, and you can get them for under $5 a piece. Some sand in between. And here's just a shot of that gloss black finish. Okay, so this is the new Death Valley Speedway build with the light bar, and this is some recent snow we had gotten in Hilltop Hollow. We got a couple inches of snow here, and the Mickey Thompsons do pretty good in it. They're poofed out with 2 sets of foams in there, so they kind of float on top of this snow, and their tread pattern helps dig in, and of course keeping the throttle and the momentum going helps. All the lights reflecting off the snow. It's really cool. I'll give you a demonstration of the lights. This is right after I finished the build. You see, got the lights all flashing, hooked up to the light controller. It's pretty satisfying getting that all hooked up and getting the lights flashing. You can see this is before the garage renovation. The walls were green. And I'd taken the truck out in the rain, had to drive it for the first time. So here's the beginnings of the build. Was trying out a Proline back half cage for it, and Pitbull Rock Beast tires, Marlin Crawler metal winch bumper, and here you can see the Night Customs inner fenders. Here's the Freaky Skins wrap. You peel those off and use a heat gun to push out the bubbles with a scraper. And here's a shot of the early interior. and the 3D printed engine from Shapeways. Primer that up and paint it. Made a little box for it. Here you can see it all finished up and painted with Vallejo model color. Just use some acrylic paint. Here's a crowbar I made just out of a nail. I flattened both sides with a hammer and vise and bent it, and used a pair of wire snips just to make the snake's tooth in the crowbar. And here's some interior pieces, visors I made for it, as well as some grab handles and a rear view mirror. There's Ranger Dave in the interior. And here you can see that hood frame without the Lexan hood panel on it. Just shoe glue those together and you've got yourself an opening hood. So here's, as soon as I finished the build, took it out in the snow. It was February, and got some running shots of it. And thought the snow was a really good contrast for this truck. And I like to find some trees when I'm out taking photos like this that are, a couple inches thick, that look like they'd be scaled to the truck. So you get, some shots where it looks like it could be a real truck in a forest. And this is one of my favorite photos. I think that's could easily trick you. Here's the Youghiogheny River in the background with the waterfalls on some of those rock outcroppings by the river. So here's some running footage of the United States Forest Service truck. I like to set up some gates and test myself, even if I don't have any competitions coming up, still to keep myself practiced and see if I can go through these gates. So for a Class 1 truck, they should be at 11 inches. They might be at 12 inches. Sometimes it's tough to place them on the rocks, but it adds a lot of interest to when you're crawling to set them up and see if you can pull a line off. Another tough spot going through some of those puddles. And I like areas where it almost wants to trap the truck. You gotta get down in it and then right back out of it. And anything that gets your tires wet add to the difficulty for sure. Here's a spot I didn't quite think I'd be able to pull off with that big empty area. It's kind of an overhang and you're coming up to it from a muddy puddle. You can see those Mickey Thompsons there. They finally grab and pull me up the hill. And some easy spots to just take it slow and watch that suspension work. There's a pretty big crack in one of the rocks. Almost too small tires to fit, but they managed to cross that gap. Some of these rock outcroppings just look so good with a 1/10 scale truck like this. They really look like a real rock wall that you might be climbing up with a full-size truck. And on the beach, Ranger Dave passing on by. Here's a couple scenes from Hilltop Hollow. Working on going through some gates. Alright, so we'll bring you into the scale garage here and take a closer look at this build. So Knight Customs has a lot of really nice 3D printed parts for this Proline SR5 body, and it mounts up really well to the Axial Scx10ll chassis. There's this engine bay with the inner fenders, and it mounts right up to the body posts and shock hoops of the SCX10-2, and this 3D printed engine just pops out, and it actually mounts into the shock hoops also, and it just sits in there. And this is where the battery's located. I usually just put a small battery in there, a competition-sized 750 to 1250 mAh battery usually works pretty well. And that engine just sits in there. Doesn't need to be bolted in or anything. It sits down into the shock hoops, and this Knight Customs inner fender also gives you a different way to mount this body, so you don't have to have any body mounting posts, coming through the hood and really taken away from the scale look of it. It basically mounts directly to the chassis, this inner fender engine bay, and then your Lexan body actually attaches to the grill. You just have two little screws that attach to the grill, and the grill is a separate piece that gets mounted directly to the engine bay there, to the inner fenders. And there is a radiator behind there, if you can see that. And you can also get these lenses on Shapeways. Now, I did lose one, and these tires are pretty big and ended up taking out the light also, so I just pulled the wires through and made it look like I had a busted marker light lens, and I kind of liked it. So hey, I'll fix it and get that light back up and working. But yeah, there's also a hood frame that allows you to turn this into an opening hood, and I just made a paperclip hood prop rod there for it, and I usually just tuck it in there and close the hood, and you're ready to go running with it. And this is a Freaky Skins wrap that's on here. It gives it a matte finish, and there's a little bit of a trick to it. It's not too difficult. I think I did a better job on the United States Forest Service build than I did with this one. I think I just took more time, more patience with it the first time, and the second time I just went, this is easy, I can do it, and just did it real quick. And maybe should have taken a little more time with it, but it still came out really good. The body itself is painted black, just straight black underneath, and it helps any areas where the wrap might not be covering super well, like inside this seam here between the body panels, and it just blacks that out. I did run it for a while with just the gloss black Lexan body, which I really liked as well. It's a nice clean look. So yeah, moving around the truck here, the front bumper is off a TF2 Mojave. It's just a plastic bumper, but I typically do run a metal one. But yeah, the natural pinch on this SR5 body allows the TF2 bumpers to fit right up against it really nicely. And I believe those are just some rubber RC four-wheel drive mirrors. Also some 3D printed door handles from Shapeways. 3D printed roof rack. KC Highlights light bar. And I make my own antennas out of a paper clip also. I just wind the bottom around a paper clip to give it that spiral, and sometimes I'll make a topper. And the rear bumper is a plastic bumper also, off of the Scx10ll RTR Cherokee body, and it matches up pretty well with the ends of the bed there. Shapeways 3D printed taillight lenses, as well as the deep bed, and the deep bed adds about 2 inches. It gives you about 2-inch depth to the bed, and it really helps that scale look, because it gives you this sort of molding like you'd actually see on a real truck, going around it, from the bed liner or the bed rail moldings, and also a roll bar. And this actually came from the SCX10-2 Honcho, or actually, I'm sorry, this one came from the SCX10 Honcho, the OG, but these can also be found on the SCX10-2 Honcho, and they match up. That bed cage, the frame that that comes on that truck mounts up perfectly to the Proline SR5 body. So it's a perfect match. There is the Shapeways 3D printed back glass frame. If you can see that there, it gives you sort of the sliding window look, and it does have a frame around there. It's a little bit blocked by the roll bar there. We've got some window stickers, of course the Scale Builders Guild window sticker. Check out the Scale Builders Guild if you haven't already. They have an awesome YouTube channel, and the forums at scalebuildersguild.com are a lot of great info there. A lot of people building some amazing builds, and it's a great place to ask questions or talk to other people in the hobby and learn about new things. They go in depth and show you step by step the process of scratch building styrene bodies and doing brazing and all kinds of scratch build work. Now the interior in this truck is actually partly from RC Nerds, the 3D printed dash that's in the truck. If you can see, that is from RC Nerds, along with the center console. And the seats are, I believe, some Dinky RC seats. They're just plastic. They're pretty light, so they don't add a lot of weight to the truck. And this is an Scx10ll, so you do have that high transmission channel in there. And I just basically made a plastic frame for that transmission channel and covered it over in some upholstery. Give it that look of the flooring. It's still pretty high in there. You know, that's probably not the typical height for a center console, but I think it works with the type of chassis we're working with here. And yeah, the chassis is pretty much the Scx10ll. There's some brass knuckles and C-hubs on there, and also a beef tubes brass diff cover, and these are some incision shocks, I believe, off the VS410 Pro. I do have metal sliders, so this is typically my Class 1 truck, and typically I would have metal bumpers. I'd also be running a winch to make it the Class 1 build, but for right now, just for driving around and having fun, I put these plastic bumpers on there. This one has the hitch, so I can mount it up with my hitch here. And now we're ready to pull a trailer. So I got this 3D printed trailer, sort of an overland style, and that's kind of the style I was going for. This was an overland theme. So you mount up the trailer there, and you're ready to pull that. You can put a set screw through here that'll hold the hitch on, and yeah, you're ready to go. So that overland was kind of the theme for this one, being a Death Valley Speedway build. The other builds that we'll be showing you, the U.S. Forest Service, that was more of a, United States Forest Service type build. And that prompted me to have things in here like the shovels and the crowbar. I had a little saw that was in there and some rescue equipment. Got still the Smokey B license plate. Shout out to Smokey the Bear, United States Forest Service. Only you can prevent forest fires. And also just wanted to mention about the other mounting. So we have the mounting for the body up here at the grill. And then we've also got some screws underneath this spare tire that just screw right into the frame where the rear bumper mounts. And the shock hoops are hidden by a little foam board box that I whipped up. You could make a styrene one. And yeah, I just painted it up to look like a rusty metal toolbox. Put this used to be a shovel, little spade shovel and a crowbar on it there. And this is from the Proline back half cage. And yeah, just got a fuel tank in there and some max tracks in the behind the toolbox there. And that hides the shock hoop. And I just put a little screw that screws through the inner fender or bed frame there into that box, which holds it on there. Otherwise this would just come off and you could see the shock hoops. That's how the rear of it's put together. And the underneath here, not too much else going on. You can see some wiring work for the lights. This does have the incision metal drive shafts. The links are pretty scraped up. This truck sees a lot of use and a lot of abuse. These were black metal links, and now they're pretty well scraped up. And yeah, there is a metal transmission, full aluminum housing with a Holmes Hobbies 45 turn brushed motor, 550 can. So it's a big motor, but I really like them. They're slow. They crawl, have a lot of torque, and it just has the stock AE5 ESC still in it. So, and wanted to mention about the tires and wheels that are on here. So the wheels are the RC 4-wheel drive ballistic aluminum beadlocks. They have this really nice center cap with some scale hardware that goes right over the locking nut. And these tires are the Mickey Thompson Baja Claw TTCs. And I really like these tires a lot. They go really well on our terrain here. And they're actually, whenever I typically see them, they're pretty narrow. So I put 2 sets of foams in here to try to help poof them out and really add some sidewall to it. You can see that there, how much those extend beyond the wheel itself. And the 2 foams, they're just 2 stock foams. They really give it a nice feel, a nice compound, nice stiffness, and you could probably get harder foams or larger ones to put in there that would do the same thing. But I just used what I had and put 2 sets of foams in there. Well, there you have it. Episode number 2 of ToyRCota Builds. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. It was a lot of fun to delve back into some old builds, check out some old running footage, and get to share it all with you. And comment below which version of this truck was your favorite. Thank you again for watching. If you're still watching now, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see what we're doing each week here in ToyRCota Builds, Scale Garage, hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned and see what next week brings. And to all, have a good night.